Uh, Welcome back, my dear students. This is another lecture in the business law. This is another lecture in the business law, and we will go directly to our topic now. And here we go again for the tort law. What do we mean by the tort law? So tort law is that kind of business or is the area of law that holds an individual or business accountable for their intentional or unintentional harm. So this is one of the aspects of the tort law, that there is a harm from one person to another person, or a person cause a harm to another person. So the tort law is related to wrongdoing, and this is another second sentence. We want to know that the tort law is related to wrongdoing. Also, we want to know that the tort law is a matter of common law. It is a part of the common law. So what? So it's a part of the common law decided by judges in a civil trial. So it's because it includes compensation. That's why it is done by the judge in a civil trial. We have two concepts for the tort. We have intentional tort and unintentional. Intentional means you did purposely the harm. You know that you are harming someone and you insist on doing this. But the unintentional, you didn't mean it. Okay. So is it aware or unaware of the behavior? So we'll see here, what do we mean by the intentional? Intentional tort occurs, here we go, intentional tort occurs when a person or a business consciously, he know very well, and deliberately causes harm to another individual or business. Various intentional tort include assault and battery. So this is intentional tort, like assault, the examples of it, the assault or the battery, or false imprisonment, or slander and libel. You scolding someone, spoiling the defamation, spoiling the defamation of someone, trying to defamate someone in his reputation. He has a good reputation, but you are saying about him bad words. So all this is kinds of intentional. But the unintentional tort occurs when a person or a business has caused harm to another person or business, but not deliberately, but because the tortfeasor is careless in their action. Because he's careless, so the reason for the unintentional is the careless. But the first one, intentional, you did this purposely. You did it purposely. But unintentional, it's a kind of careless behavior. Careless behavior. You don't care. So that's why it's causing this kind of tort. Also, we need to know this. The business need to be knowledgeable about tort law in order to protect the business. So I must know about the tort. And I'm a businessman, so I have to be aware of knowledge about tort law in order to protect the business themselves, their employees, and the stakeholders from legal wrongdoing. So I must know everything about the tort law so I can protect the people from any problem that arises now or in the future. This is regarding the tort law. Also, the intentional tort, the type of it, it's a tort where one person sues another in order to compensate their losses. So as example, I had a kind of loss, so I need a compensation. So I will sue the other person to take compensation. Compensation means in money, to take money. Court will look at three elements that must occur in a deliberate wrongdoing. So the court care about 3 points. About, did the person who committed an alleged harm defendant do it on purpose? Did he do this purposely? The first point. Did I harm this person purposely or unintentionally or by accident? As example, I knock him by mistake and he fell in the floor or whatever. Did the action of the defendant result in injury? So, was there any injury? Third, is there monetary and measurable damage that occur? It means, okay, there is a tort and there is harm. If there is any money harm happens, like I lost money because of this harm, I lost something, I'm damaged, and I lost money or I lost whatever because this harm came to me. That's the third point. So those are the 3 points, which are very important to make sure about the tort. To make sure about the tort, the reason of tort, and when it will be counted as a tort in the courts. Like the court will consider it tort, like we said, if there is done on purpose, and there is injury and there is damage. There must be damage. Otherwise, it won't be a tort. As example, the battery and assault, okay, are against the law. The defendant will appear in court for a criminal case first and then later on a civil court. This is just to show it. Also, we have a kind of tort regarding the business work. So here, as example, this is about the categories of intentional tort. Those are the categories of the intentional tort. Torts involving customers. The torts involving the customers. So torts involving other business. Any harm that go to the customer. Any harm that, so if you can use remove the word tort and put instead of it the word harm. You can remove the word tort and just put instead of it the word harm. Okay. Tort involving business property. Tort from words like abusing or scolding or this. Tort relating to privacy. Okay. Those are the types of tort. Now we'll move into, here we're talking about trespassing to lands, and this is not a part of the business. We have also another type of tort, intentional torts from words, like when you scold someone, abuse someone, this we call it intentional torts from words. Okay, so this is the tort of defamation. How this will happen? The tort of defamation. The tort of defamation will happen like we see here, will arise from either a spoken comment or gesture. You made with your finger to someone a bad signal. You look at someone disgusting him with a gesture or with a glance. You look to someone from up to down like this, and you try to assault someone, which is known as slander. So the tort of defamation. The first one is the defamation. Defamation means you try to spoil the reputation of someone, by scolding or abusing him while he's present or not present. As example, I talk bad about a successful person, or I talk bad about a successful company, or I say any words about this company. As example, they are producing products with hormones, and they are cheating the consumers or causing the consumers death or kind of illness. In that case, you are here defamating this company. You know very well that they don't have these habits, and you are trying, or these traits, and you are trying to put them into trouble while they don't have actually this. So you are telling lies about this company. You are telling lies to spoil the image of this company in front of the public. You try to spoil the image of this company in front of the public. The tort of defamation will arise from either spoken comments or gesture, which is known as slander. So this is the tort of defamation. Okay, this is the tort of the defamation. This is something of a more permanent, such as written letter, magazine, article, report, or perhaps television broadcast, in which a case is referred to as liable. So we have slander. Slander when it is verbal, a spoken. So a slander is a verbal tort or a spoken tort. Slander is a spoken tort, but we have a written tort, we call it liable. Again, I will say, if the tort was verbally by the mouth, spoken, said by words spoken, then we call this slander. We call it slander. We call it then slander. But if this tort was written letter, it's written, then we call this liable. We call it liable. Okay. The tort of defamation is experiencing a legal overhaul through court challenges. We have some examples here. That's fine. We'll come now to the unintentional tort. Unintentional means you didn't do it purposely. The unintentional tort means you didn't do it intentionally. You did it let's say you did it like because you don't care about the others, so this caused them, but you didn't do it for this person purposely. Okay, at the core of unintentional torts, and the most common reason for legal action based on tort law is negligence, careless. So this is the unintentional. When you see the word unintentional and the word negligence, they are together. The unintentional and the word negligence. This is unintentional tort means negligence. Okay. So let us see here, what is the negligence? So negligence is a question of risk. Why risk? Because there will be difference between the standard results and the actual results. In managing the risk associated with business operation, decisions are made that may have unintentional results of physical, emotional, or financial injury to others. Sometimes in business, while we are focusing in doing the business, we might neglect about people's needs, about their own emotional needs, about their physical needs. We care only about doing the profits. And that is the reason why we say this is a kind of unintentional unintentional tort, which is no care about the others because you are careless about the other. Okay. Okay. Duty of care. Let us see, this is what do we mean by duty of care? A first indicator in establishing responsibility for the tort of negligence is the presence of a duty of care. So if you have a duty of care, then there will be no negligence, then there will be non-intentional tort. Okay, a duty of care means what? Means not to cause injury to others and is owed by one individual or business to another. It means you care about the others. You care about the other. If you don't care about the other, then this is unintentional tort or negligence. Negligence because you discard their own needs and wants. Cool, that's fine. Now, the rule of the court in that case is what? The rule of the court. The court must determine whether the person causing harm could reasonably foresee or predict that his or her action would cause injury to others. So this is the rule of the court. If that action, the court will investigate. The court will investigate. Is that action led to a harm of another person or no? If it led to the harm of another person, then we are in front of tort. If it didn't do harm or damage to another person, then we are not in front of a case of a tort. Also, there will be something we call it assumption of risk. Assumption of risk. What is the assumption of risk? The assumption of risk depends to refer to as voluntary assumption of risk is available if the injured party, the plaintiff, was aware of the risk associated with the activity and consented to assume the risk. You know that there is risk of doing this work, but you will still insist to do it. Okay. Always when we deal with the risk, you are, as a person, as a business person, you should understand, let us see this point together because it's very important. So as a business person, you should understand and minimize the risk of various activities. A tortfeasor is the person of business committing the tort. A tortfeasor, this one, is the one who is nominated, the one who do the tort. It's called tortfeasor. The person of business committing the tort. Torts are intentional and unintentional, like what we said before. Intentional torts are deliberate, and unintentional torts are not deliberate. Also, intentional torts fall into several categories that involve customers, other business, and business properties. These are, okay, wars and privacy. The duty of care, standard of care are important in the concept of unintentional torts, because if you have a duty of care, then there will not be there unintentional torts, like we said before. Negligence, notice that the negligence means that I don't care, is a main reason for the unintentional tort. So anybody is not working in the business, he must be aware of the tort law so that he would avoid causing people harm. And he would reduce the risk which some of his employees will be involved in. He can try to reduce the amount of risk by helping them, by having a duty of care for the works which they are doing. So that will avoid the lawsuits. Okay. Now we will start to take these two sentences. Manufacturers have major responsibility to public to ensure that their products are safe and designed and manufactured. And if they are not, they have the duty to warn the public. So I will produce a product. The business law is telling me to let the people know about this product honestly without telling them lies. If this product harm the people, then in that case, I have to draw it from the market and adjust it. Okay, more than anywhere, the manufacturer and the companies that provide goods and services to the public must protect the public. And I will hear this is also under law. So as long as I'm working an owner of a factory or having manufacturing company, then I'm serving the public. I'm producing products to the public. So I have to protect also the public. I have to produce a clean and green product, not to pollute the environment. Okay. For business, it is crucial to know and understand the regulations surrounding consumer products. Some questions asked to include, is the product safe? Here we go. For a business, it is crucial to know and understand the regulations surrounding the consumer products. Some questions to ask include, is the product safe? Has it been tested? Has it been approved to be manufactured? Does the packaging and the labeling follow the regulations? Does your business have policies in place for product recalls? So those are all points that we have to know that about the product, that it will never harm the consumer. It won't be, so I have to be aware of the tort law and about this point. Do you know, here we have very good sentences also. I just want to say, manufacturers should be aware the 4 categories for a product. Liability claims proceed. Manufacturers have a duty of care. They must have a duty of care to consumer. So when there is duty of care, that means there will be no tort. To ensure there are no defects on the product or safe, and the product is safe when used and in ordinary manner. So this to reduce the amount of tort. Manufacturer have a duty to warn the consumer if they know or ought to know that there is any defect in the product. So it is the right part to tell the consumer that this product is not safe. Okay, manufacturer have a duty of care to avoid safely risks and make products safe for its purpose. Also, manufacturer have a duty of care to compensate for the cost of repairing dangerous products. All those are regarding the work of the duty of care to avoid the tort in the tort law, and to create kind of let's say create a kind of duty of care, which will help to reduce the risk. Okay. Yeah. So we'll stop here about now, and we will be done for the tort law. Shall see you on the next lecture. Thank you so much. So welcome, my dear students. We'll complete talking about the torts. So tort law, let us talk today also about completing the tort law. The tort law, we said that this is, okay, the tort law may be in the context of something that happens because a person or business, let me share the screen, a person or business. Okay, here we go. Because a person or business or organization harms any person or business or organization. So the main purpose of the tort law is the harm. That the tort law deals with the harm. Okay, as long as there is harm, there must be compensation. There will be, then this is a civil law. Okay, as a business person, you should understand and minimize the risk of various activities. So if I am a businessman and I have to respect the business laws and I have to respect the people, not to put the people under risk, so that will be no harm, then will that I won't be breaching the tort law. A tort officer is the person or business committing a tort. Is that person who is committing a tort.